Okay, now I need everybody to understand that over the next couple of weeks, this story is going to break, and you're going to be seeing a lot of news in it. MSNBC, CNN, Fox News, they're all going to be covering this story. So, this is something that really hasn't hit YouTube yet. And as you know, I tend to bring you things that either really haven't come out yet, or have just come out, or have had a little bit of time to drag and then collect and know a little bit better about what's going on. This is the story of Gail S. Ennis. She is the Inspector General on behalf of the SSA. So think of that as like the chief super attorney of the commissioner of the SSA, Martin O'Malley. Or another way to think of it is she is like the chief of the secret police, the OIG's CDI units, right? Where they have all those secret police officers on behalf of the SSA. She would be like the chief person over those individuals. But what they mostly do with OIG is they review fraud. They review basically, essentially making sure policies are correct, that the money being spent at the SSA is correct. It's a big agency inside the big Social Security Administration. So let's go through this real quick. I'm going to read to you what basically a senator had to say. It was specifically Senator Ron Wyden's, United States Senate Chairman, Committee on Finance. We're going to go through what he had to say. And I want you to understand we're going to do this timeline wise. So this is going back in time first, and then we'll go forward in time. November 30th, 2023. Okay, so this is before Commissioner Martin O'Malley was put in. This was during Commissioner Keisha Causey's tenure. And basically, Honorable Gail S. Ennis, the current Inspector General, who's been Inspector General for about 5 years-ish, started to get into a little bit of hot water because the investigations that the Senate was committing to look into with the SSA were not getting positive responses back from the Office of Inspector General. In fact, they were kind of being led down the wrong path, held back from getting the certain types of information that they would need. And often the Inspector General would try and fight them on the details of what they wanted changed, modified, or just be able to access. Now, we're going to say that we don't have, Inspector General Gail S. Ennis's real true side in this. I'm going to be showing you the senator's side, but we will be doing a video in the future to help show her side a little bit better so that you can hear it and understand it from where she's coming from with it. Now, here is the senator's letter about the Office of Inspector General's actual SSA Inspector General. Inspector General Ennis. So the senator's writing to her. I write to request information regarding your office's actions to protect whistleblowers. In my letter to you dated July 17th, 2023, I stressed the instrumental role whistleblowers play, risking retaliation from their employer, colleagues, and other accomplices to keep our government and its leaders accountable. However, I am concerned that your office's performance regarding treatment of whistleblowers have cultivated a hostile environment for current and future whistleblowers. So basically, I'm not going to go into the whole thing. I'll do another video on it, but there was a whistleblower, made a whistleblow. That person was treated poorly as a result. And now the senator caught wind of that. And the senator is following up from their July 17th letter. And now it's November. And the senator is pissed. So that's what's going on. When I raised these concerns in my July 17th letter to you, you doubled down on your performance, took no accountability for your actions, argued that your office is not required to notify Congress of instances of whistleblower retaliation, and provided no details on how you were going to remediate the situation going forward. So in other words, the senator's pissed. That's what's happening. Instead, you chose to impugn the whistleblower's character, motives, and work ethic. This combative posture toward whistleblowers is further exacerbated by the recent lawsuit against SSA OIG whistleblowers filed by your appointed federal whistleblower protection coordinator and raises questions on your ability to lead the office of the Inspector General. So put another way, shit's hitting the fan at OIG for the Inspector General Ennis, which as a result makes, and just to clear up, like the Inspector General's office is not like some floofy little side whatever thing. It is the main office of an agency that pays out some of the largest amounts of funds on behalf of the SSA. $1.4 trillion. It researches the fraud. It researches all the things that basically happen with the SSA of how they should be saving money, implementing ideas, implementing changes. And the main problem is that when the whistleblowers catch the SSA OIG office not doing something correctly and they blow that whistle, they want that whistle to be heard by Congress. And unfortunately, the Inspector General's office kind of tried to throw it under the carpet, which pissed off this senator, which may cost the Inspector General her position. As you know, going back to the letter, all inspectors general are required to designate a whistleblower protection officer to educate employees throughout the agency about prohibitions on retaliation for whistleblowing and educate employees who have made or contemplate making a protected disclosure about their rights and remedies against retaliation. It is my understanding that you appointed your chief counsel, Michelle Murray, to be the federal whistleblower coordinator. On October 24th, 2023, Ms. Murray, your chief counsel and federal whistleblower coordinator, filed a lawsuit against two SSA OIG whistleblowers, Debbie Shaw and Jocelyn Funny, along with the Washington Post reporter who reported the whistleblowers' claims. The Washington Post Company itself and the Project on Government Oversight and its director of the Effective and Accountable Government Program, Faith Williams. So in other words, Gail Ennis is using what we would use in the private sector, which is suing everybody and trying to just use your war chest to destroy them, which is an odd thing to do as somebody who's supposed to like uphold the faith that the OIG is not committing fraud by reviewing fraud and then trying to legally destroy any known understanding of that fraud. You could say it the other way. You could say, well, they're trying to defend themselves. The information should have been released to begin with. The whistleblowers shouldn't have done this or that or whatever, and they're filing suit to try and protect the rights of the American people. But I don't know. It doesn't feel like that. It feels more along the lines of they're trying to squash any of the whistleblowers that come through. Now, granted, I don't have her full side. I haven't read all of her documents yet. So I still have to go through and review basically the Office of Inspector General's, readings on what she saw it as. Like I've got to see and understand her side of it. So I just can't rail her for this and say the senator's right. I still have to review what she's done. Kathy has faith. Thank you for the $19.99 donation. That's absolutely amazing. Very cool. Thank you for the goal thing. That's awesome. So basically, just to help you guys understand the suit, they allege defamation, tortious conduct, and reputational damage. Ms. Murray requested $10 million in compensation damages and $1 billion in punitive damages. So just to be clear, maybe these groups together could afford $1 billion when hell freezes over. Maybe it's possible, right? But just to be clear, it is interesting. It's an interesting tactic to deal with things that are not going right inside your agency. You sue the pants out of those who tell you that they're not going right, and you go after them and you say, all those people who reported it, you're coming with me, right? While Ms. Murray is within her right to file a lawsuit, it is concerning that one of your senior agency executives filed a lawsuit against two of her colleagues, one of whom is her subordinate, and against a news reporter. Whistleblowers and the free press are two democratic pillars that hold those in power accountable, and Ms. Murray's role makes her responsible for protecting whistleblowers and representing their concerns, which is why he's saying, what the hell, Ms. Murray, you're supposed to protect these individuals when they basically come into a situation where they whistleblow. Instead, you're suing them for $1 billion. Oh, sorry, $1 billion plus $10 million in compensatory damage. This is $1.01 billion. Well, you're gonna get them. If you're gonna get them, you use the billions. Okay. The request for $1 billion in punitive damages raises serious questions about whether Ms. Murray's actions are in the bounds of good faith and common sense, and strongly suggest an action of intimidation and retaliation. Yeah, $1 billion. But you see what they're doing to the T, right? I'm not going to say his name because you know how the YouTube metrics go. But you see what they're doing to the T, right? Okay, DT, you know who I'm talking about. I'm concerned that an individual holding such a critical position presents a hostile environment for current and future whistleblowers. Yeah, that nobody will ever whistleblow at OIG again. They have just made that ship unsinkable. That thing will never sink. There's not a bolt that's going to leak on that ship. Because let me tell you, if they fear that they're going to get $1 billion lawsuit against them, they're never going to squeak a little birdie chirp. Ain't going to happen. Now, whether or not you agree with the concerns raised by the whistleblower and the MSPB ALJ decision on Miss Murray's lawsuit, it is your responsibility as the leader to turn down the temperature so the office can perform to the best of its ability. With that in mind, within 14 days of receipt of this letter, please respond in writing how you are going to fulfill your obligations in protecting whistleblowers. This should include any remedial steps you have taken to preserve this office's role and whether Ms. Murray will continue serving as the Federal Whistleblower Protection Coordinator. I look forward to your prompt response. Sincerely, Ron Wyden, United States Senator Chairman Committee on Finance. That was in November. Now we go to February. February gets a little spicier. Gets a little hot pockety, right? You're pulling that thing out of the, you're pulling that thing out of the microwave. You're taking a bite way too fast. You know better than that. You wait until it just cools down. We're about to get hot pocket hot. Here we go. All right. February 7th, United States Senate, Committee on Finance, Washington, D.C. Now, the next letter does not go to Gail Ennis. There were letters in between, but we're trying to summarize. We don't want this to be a 50-minute video. The next letter goes to President Biden. Senator Wyden say, hey, President Biden, we got problems. We need you to step in. We got to get some fixes here. We're not happy with this option here. Okay, I write to inform you that Gail Ennis has lost my confidence in her ability to effectively serve as Inspector General of the Social Security Administration. I urge you to remove her. So what's happening is the senator does not feel that Gail Ennis was giving enough information on how to protect whistleblowers going forward, and instead was using the giant war chest and the cannons inside it, which means you're not going to get whistleblowers from OIG in the future. You're just not going to get that. Now, the Social Security Inspector General plays a critical role in overseeing the administration of Social Security's programs and operations and is a vital resource to Congress as it evaluates legislative changes to strengthen the program. When Inspector General Ennis appeared before the U.S. Senate Committee on Finance as a nominee, she assured me and my colleagues that she would establish a culture that welcomes debate, collaboration, and transparency, which is why I supported her nomination. You guys know what's coming. You know what's coming in the rest of the letter. Unfortunately, after her 5-year tenure as Inspector General, those promises appear to have been hollow. Since taking the helm at SSA OIG, her office has gone from one of the highest performing in government to one in disarray. Under her leadership, SSA OIG has been plagued by complaints of a hostile work environment, retaliatory civil lawsuits filed against fellow employees, abysmal staff morale ratings, and falling productivity. Which doesn't help that the SSA is so few on how many employees they have right now. They're like 55,000 employees. So it doesn't help that they're super low. They don't have money. The government isn't giving them enough money. The senators and the House reps aren't giving them enough money. Really, it's the Republicans aren't giving enough money to do what they need to do. The Republicans are like fighting the SSA on having more money. In 2021, the Federal Law Enforcement Officers Association issued a rare vote of no confidence, citing concerns regarding erroneous policies that hamper investigative capacity. I raised these concerns in a letter to her. Nearly 3 years later, staff morale has worsened, and the Partnership for Public Services Annual Best Places to Work in the Federal Government ranked SSA OIG the second worst agency in the federal government. You know what's funny about this? I have recommended that people go get jobs at the SSA, and especially the OIG, because they need more employees. And then when I read this, I was like, ooh, maybe I made a mistake. Maybe I whoops. So, in 2021, the Federal Law Enforcement Officers Association issued a rare vote of no confidence. So the bottom line is this. Most concerningly, the U.S. Merit Systems Protection Board has recently found that the Inspector General Ennis and her leadership team have retaliated against one of her employees for blowing the whistle. As you know, whistleblowers provide the American people an invaluable service, raising concerns of waste, fraud, and abuse within the federal government, risking retaliation from their employers, colleagues, or their accomplices. It is imperative that leaders across the entire federal government promote a workplace free of harassment, intimidation, or retaliation. Inspector General Ennis has failed in this regard. I have written to Inspector General Ennis several times over the past 3 years demanding answers on this disturbing trend. Rather than taking accountability, Inspector General Ennis has provided empty promises, refused to acknowledge her shortcomings, and attempted to discredit the whistleblowers she has found to have retaliated against. I urge you to take immediate action to bring new leadership to SSA OIG so the office can focus on its vital work overseeing the administration of Social Security Administration programs and operations. Senator Ron Wyden. Okay. What does this mean in a more direct, you sort of way? How does this affect you, the beneficiaries, those seeking disability benefits? How does it affect you? Okay. So here's the thing. The Office of Inspector General, when it comes to the average person, is looking to go ahead and investigate a lot of people because they're in an audit phase, right? They're auditing a lot of people. People are going through a lot of CDRs. A lot of CDI units are being used to investigate fraud. The level for claiming fraud and then having a fraud investigation actually begin is very low. So a lot of disabled people, a lot of SSI people, SSDI people are currently going through an investigation, system. Now, with that said, OIG is there to also protect you. They're there to protect you from people stealing your checks, stealing your money. They're there to protect you from, frauds and scams and things like that. They're there to create the new systems that will go ahead and save the SSA money and make sure that your money is safe. With that said, this is about to become massive. Why? You'll notice at the end of the letter, okay, Chairman of Committee on Finance. That's not a small committee. That's not a low-level committee. That's a big, aggressive committee, okay? And he's the chairman. So you'll notice that this is going to get a lot of attention. Now, just to keep in mind, Gail Ennis comes before the Biden era. So it's not like Biden has any real desire to keep this person. This is one of those things where he could swap this person out and it really wouldn't affect him that much. What's not going to help the Inspector General in this situation is once these senators and House reps start doing these meetings where they draw people in, take testimony, do discovery, etc. I've read some of her remarks and they are tending to be pushing the idea that the Office of Inspector General can do a lot of these handling situations without notifying Congress, without, I guess the way I would put it is, maybe this is the best way to put it, giving the congressional leaders a chance to whine and complain. That's really the reality here. That's really the reality. I'm going to read through her stuff and do another video specifically going through her side, her story. Some of it reads to people who are laymen, people who don't know law, as kind of aggressive and dismissive. So I just want you to understand ahead of time, it's not necessarily aggressive or dismissive. It's just legally, that's how we talk. So right up front, when you hear it, you're just like, oh, that person's stupid. It's not. That's just how legally we talk in paperwork. That's how it works. So what I would like to say is this. I think the future of this is going to be very interesting. You're hearing this from this particular, station, YouTube channel way before it actually blows up to this giant thing where the poo hits the fan. With that said, the next video is specifically on something that OIG has inspected, and it's not good. And it has to do with basically withheld benefits from retirees and how bad it is. So just to give you an understanding of how bad this is the Social Security Administration's Enforcement of Earnings Test, just to give you a basic read through. And then we're going to go do the video specifically on this. But real quick, just so you kind of understand what's going on. Let me get into this a little bit. SSA did not accurately or timely pay beneficiaries subject to the earnings test. In fiscal year 2021, SSA established approximately 294,000 earnings test overpayments totaling more than $1 billion. However, our sample review found SSA inaccurately calculated approximately 47,000 of these overpayments, totaling more than 148 million. So, if you guys don't know what that test is, like specifically when it comes to the earnings test, well, the next video is going to be on this, but I'll just give you a quick warm up. The earnings test is when you work and earn money over a certain amount in between 62 and whatever your final retirement age is. That's your FRA, right? 66, 67, right? So if you work and earn over a certain amount, the SSA holds back some of your retirement benefits and then they pay it back to you over time once you hit 67 and start taking your bennies, right? They boost your benefits a bit. A lot of people don't know about this rule. It's like this whole they for $1, $2 for $1, $3. It's one of those sort of rules for retirement. But what happened is the SSA massively improperly calculated how much money came in and how much money was supposed to be paid out and how much money people actually got. So the SSA is going to be sending out, and already I'm sure has begun sending out, IOU letters to retired people who haven't been getting the proper amount, and then overpayment letters to those who have been getting too much. So anyways, I will catch you guys at the next video. It's a salty one. We're just going to do an intro, just fun intro, and then we'll go into it more with more videos down the line. Please remember to go ahead and leave a like. Just hit that like button. Don't be afraid to hit the like button. Don't be stingy with your likes. Hit the, go ahead and you can hit the membership button. You can go ahead and hit the subscribe button. All are awesome. Please remember to go to Disability Resolution on Google. Type in Disability Resolution Law Firm. Leave some 5 stars or 1 stars or whatever stars you like. Although I love waking up and seeing the 5. I will catch you a little bit later, and I will see you at the next video in about 10 minutes. And that's going to be a salty one. I'll see you soon. All right. Bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye.